One of the hottest topics in the GreenStalk community is how to trellis your GreenStalk system. Now, GreenStalk recently came out with their own trellising system, but I have to say that I have really pushed the limits on the GreenStalk system. So today I'm going to talk to you about all of the DIY options that I've tried, some with huge success, some with kind of iffy success, and some with downright disaster. What worked, what didn't work, and then we'll also talk about the official GreenStalk trellising system. I'm going to be setting that up and I'll show you how I'm doing it and answer some of the questions that I've heard so far. Enough chit chat, let's get into it. So let's get into the first question that I'm sure is on a lot of your minds, which is how the heck did you trellis these peas so high? And just for context, this is kind of where the GreenStalk ends, and that is where the pea trellis ends. It is over 5 feet tall on top of the GreenStalk. So what is holding it up? It is what's called a Texas tomato cage. Let me show it to you. Okay, so this is the Texas tomato cage. These are two pieces that actually connect together. So this is at the bottom. You can see it's got more than 1 foot long stake that can be pushed into the GreenStalk tier. And it's got these little sockets on the top. So these are extension kits, and it's got these little legs, and these little legs stack into the first trellis, and you can go up as far as you like. And I've seen people use other tomato trellises as well after a lot of them saw how I did it. And it looks like there are a lot of options, but this is what I use. And I have stacked this double, and that's why the peas are so tall. But there's a problem. And this is the problem. This is my infamous pea trellis. The ones that I just showed you as sweet peas, but these are actually edible peas. And this grew absolutely huge, and it produced wonderful peas. I mean, absolutely delicious peas. I had no idea how to harvest them. I had to grab a footstool, climb up to harvest them, but they were so good. Really good. But a little bit of wind pushed it over, as you might expect, and it dropped, I think, about 3 times in the course of 1 month when we had some winds. Sorry, chewing. And I had to eventually put a ladder to stabilize it. Nothing worked. Eventually, I just took off that top tier and put it on the bottom here next to it, and now it hasn't fallen, but, you know, don't make it go too high, I guess, is the moral of the story. And that is actually one of the advantages of this Texas tomato cage, is that you can stack them in, like, I guess this is about 3 feet tall. And so if you stick with just 3 feet, I think that is sufficient. You can see this one is pretty stable. I've got some peas climbing up it, and yeah, this GreenStalk is doing really good. One more problem I had with this GreenStalk was that it was sitting on one of those cheapo Amazon movers, which didn't work very well. It wasn't very stable. I've since replaced it with an official GreenStalk mover, and I highly recommend it. This is actually the ultimate spinner, not the mover. And I highly recommend get the original GreenStalk movers and spinners, because anything else that you get maybe a little bit cheaper on Amazon is not going to be able to hold the immense weight of the GreenStalk, and it'll do things like start to tip, and if the surface is not very stable, it's just bad news. Anyway, I eventually had to take this down. You can see it's on its way out, and I'm waiting for it to actually give me some dried pods, because I absolutely love these peas and I want to save seeds. But I'm getting this GreenStalk ready for summer. Everything's on their way out. I've got cilantro and beets and spinach, all cool weather crops, and you can see waiting in the wings over here, I've got some flowers already ready to take their place, and I've got some coleus. This is Calabracao. It is a beautiful cascading, kind of like, it looks like petunia. It's not really petunia, but it produces tons of tiny blooms, and I can't wait to grow this in one of my GreenStalks. Okay, let's talk about a couple of other methods that you can use to trellis your GreenStalk, the DIY methods that I've used in the past. One of them was actually using bamboo stakes. Let me pull some footage from last summer, I think, when I did this. And I grew some pretty large vining plants on it. I grew cucumbers, I grew gourds, squash, a huge cantaloupe as well, believe it or not. But I stuck 4 bamboo stakes into the GreenStalks, and I connected them at the top with irrigation tubing, and then I tied the irrigation tubing together together to stabilize it. And then I just let the squash and whatever it was climb all over it. They looked phenomenal and they actually produced really, really well. But at the end of the day, those really tall vining plants just don't work for the green stalk. You're better off with shorter dwarf varieties of any plant. And yeah, don't go more than say 3 feet above your green stalk, even if you want to do some adventurous staking, because you don't want to find out, like I did, the hard way, that your green stalk falls and then everything, all of that hard work might go to waste. I was very lucky. It didn't actually fall down and spread all over. It kind of just leaned over and I was able to stabilize it, but it happened 3 times. Okay, yeah, I didn't learn, but I just wanted to see how long I keep it going. I love doing adventurous things with my green stalks and really pushing them to the limit. That's part of the fun of having them. And then the third method, which actually is a pretty good way of trellising your green stalk, is by using garden staples. I used that also last summer, where I would push a garden staple into a tier that was above the tier that I wanted to pull the plant from, and that way I would stabilize it, and then as it grew further up, I would put another garden staple up the next tier and then kind of just vine it along that and tie it onto that. And that worked actually super well for things like tomatoes and peppers, the kind of plants that grow straight up. Okay, let's walk on over to my raspberries. I'm going to show you those, and we're going to also try and set up some trellising because I've got some plants that need some help. Well, here they are, my beautiful raspberries. Now, I made a video on the experiments that I am doing with this. I'm trying something new. Number one, this is all flowers. And if you watch that video, you'll see how teeny tiny they were when I set them up. And I'm trying some new things with this, but I'll put a link to that video if you want to go and check it and see what I'm doing. But just look at all the flowers starting to bloom. That is verbena. I've got my Johnny Jump Up violas. I've got my alyssum. So one of the most popular questions is, what exactly do you use this little trellis for? Well, for one thing, it's a small trellis, so use it to let small plants grow. Just like any other plant in the green stalk, you want to grow dwarf varieties as much as possible. At the end of the day, this is a container and it is limited by the capacity of what you put in here from a soil perspective, and you want to grow dwarf varieties in it of any plant. Tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, dwarf and bush varieties is what you want to grow. So bush cucumbers, dwarf peas, those are the kinds of things that this is going to work for. The other thing that you want to use it for is stability of young plants. So things like, for example, cilantro, parsley, when I start them off with the seed houses, and that keeps them nice and protected when they are very tiny. But then as they grow and I remove the seed houses, they are still very prone to getting damaged by, say you have a strong wind or you've got a heavy rainfall. Those little seedlings are going to get crushed, they're going to flop over, and this trellis really helps stabilize them. And then thirdly, you want to use them to prevent cascading plants from shading the ones in the lower tiers out. Now, it won't completely help it. You're going to also have to trim and keep it in check. But I had nasturtiums one year. You can't really trim those and keep those in shape. They will just do what they want to do, and they covered my entire green stalk. I'm not complaining. They looked stunning. Grow nasturtiums in your green stalk. I think there are dwarf varieties, bush varieties, so grow those instead of the trailing varieties. They just look amazing. So first off, how do you use this thing? Now, ideally, you want to use it as soon as you plant up the pocket because it has this sort of sharp edge almost, so when you slide it in, you could cut roots if you already got stuff planted there already. So for example, this marguerite daisy, it's been planted too close to the edge, so I might damage it if I try to push it in now. So I'm just gonna have to leave that alone. And then maybe something like, maybe this baby's breath over here, this is gonna fall downward, so it's got enough space for me to push this in. So I'm just going to slide it gently, ever so gently, in here. And then the thing that I really like about this, it's got 2 levels. So as this thing grows, it's got support, and then as it continues to grow, it's got more support when it comes out here. By the way, here's an example of a peony stake that I got from Amazon, and as you can see, it doesn't have those two levels, you know, so this thing, it's got to grow tall enough in order to reach this level. So I really like the two levels that the GreenStalk trellis comes with. It really supports the plants when they're really tiny. And frankly, price-wise, I was doing a comparison. It is a wash between these trellises versus the ones that you get on Amazon. I'd say go for the real deal. Okay, so here is my alyssum, and I'm going to insert this like I just did with the baby's breath right into it, and now my alyssum can lean on this, and that way these little plants that are on the next tier don't get as shaded out by the alyssum. And I'm gonna have to come regularly and trim it so that it doesn't do that cascading thing which it's doing in my other GreenStalk. Let me show you. Yep, this is the GreenStalk that I was talking about just now. Believe it or not, this GreenStalk is supposed to be dedicated 100% to strawberries. But I couldn't help myself. When I planted the strawberries, I was like, hey, just a little teeny plant here or there won't make a difference. And of course, chicken math, they grow. The alyssum has grown huge. I actually put one of those Amazon trellises over here just to keep it off of these other plants underneath it. And I'm also going to have to come now, like I said, and trim this so that it doesn't really cover up the entire plant, because alyssum will do that. It's gorgeous in the GreenStalk, but it's maintenance. And with the GreenStalk, let's face it, you guys, you want to look beautiful, you have to invest the time to make it look beautiful. And I have fun doing that. And another question many people have is, can it be used along with the plant support in combination with? And the answer is absolutely yes. Take a look at it from this angle. So this sweet alyssum is going to grow. It's going to reach here. I can continue to trellis it, and it's going to come over here, and it's going to cascade over. And hopefully the plants at the bottom are going to be able to get some more sunshine because the alyssum is not in their faces. Verbenas, you guys, they are new to my GreenStalk this year, but I can't imagine how gorgeous this is going to look when it's covered in blossoms. Another one that's new this year is the Marguerite daisies. Can you see how many there are? Think about how gorgeous that's going to look when those are in full bloom, covered in beautiful pink blossoms. And of course, geraniums. Geraniums are starting to bud up as well. Yep. Stay tuned, you guys. Follow along. I will show you how these GreenStalks are progressing. I think they're going to look stunning as the season goes along. Another question that people have is, will it work just like this with insect netting? If you don't have this plant support, will the insect netting still work? And absolutely it will. I haven't tried it. I've got my brand new insect netting that I will eventually open up and use when I need it. But look at the packaging, you guys. Doesn't it make you happy? Well, that's GreenStalk for you. So yeah, this can be used instead of this on the top tier to hold up your insect netting. Folks, I wanted to do a quick shout out. I know that I've got a lot of new subscribers on this channel who came to me specifically for my GreenStalk content, and I wanted to say thank you. Say hello down in the comments. I'd love to say hello to you and learn about what you're excited to grow in your GreenStalk. Thank you for using my affiliate link, my code. You guys have been amazing. Thank you for supporting my channel. I've got plenty of content. I've actually curated a list of all of the GreenStalk videos that I've got, especially intended for the newcomer who doesn't know how to navigate my channel. I've got so much content. I will put a link to that playlist at the end of this video so you can go through it. It has been sequenced in the order that I think you will find helpful. And also, if there's anything that you want me to make some content about, that you'd like to learn more about the GreenStalk, please do leave that in the comments below. I'll try and make that content. Thank you once again. Whew, it is so sunny today.